30 days can expose what 30 years of excuses have been protecting. Please take notes. Because time does not create character. Time reveals character. If you give a disciplined mind 30 days, it will reveal order. If you give an undisciplined mind 30 days, it will reveal chaos with a calendar. The issue is not whether your life can change. The issue is whether your mind can come back under government. Your life cannot rise permanently above the government of your mind. If your mind is ruled by fear, your decisions will serve fear. If your mind is ruled by appetite, your schedule will serve appetite. If your mind is ruled by offense, your relationships will serve offense. A broken life is usually the public evidence of an undisciplined private mind. This is not a motivational experiment. This is a spiritual audit. We are going to inspect the systems that have been silently governing you. We are going to examine your thoughts, your standards, your appetites, your excuses, your focus, your obedience. Inspiration makes you feel better for a moment. Implementation makes you become different in your nature. Discipline is not punishment. Write that down. Discipline is protection for purpose. When God gives you destiny, He also requires standards. Standards protect the future from the moods of the present. Your feelings were never designed to govern your life. They are indicators, not kings. For the next 30 days, you are not just trying to stop bad habits. You are submitting your mind back to truth. You are bringing every thought into custody. You are telling your emotions, you may speak, but you will not rule. You are telling your body, you may desire, but you will not dominate. You are telling your past, you may explain where I came from, but you will not decide where I am going. And if this teaching is helping you return to God's original design, stay with this full 30-day system. Subscribe so you do not miss the process, because this is not for inspiration alone. It is for implementation, inspection, and correction. And prepare one sentence you will declare over your mind in the comments. Not a paragraph. One sentence. Something like, my mind is coming back under the government of truth. Say it until your thoughts hear it. Say it until your habits respect it. Say it until your life begins to rise. Discipline is self-imposed standards for the sake of a chosen future. Write that down. Discipline is not somebody controlling you. Discipline is you agreeing with your future so strongly that you begin to correct your present. Discipline is when your tomorrow becomes more important than your appetite today. It is when purpose tells pleasure, you cannot have everything you want because I am carrying something too valuable. Now this is important because God's first command to man was dominion. Dominion means rulership. It means mastery. It means the capacity to govern a territory according to the will of the one who authorized you. But listen carefully. Before you rule circumstances, before you rule money, before you rule relationships, before you rule opportunity, before you rule a business, before you rule a family, you must rule your thinking. The first territory God expects you to govern is not around you. It is within you. Many people want dominion over everything except themselves. They want authority over their environment, but they have no authority over their thoughts. They want promotion, but cannot govern irritation. They want wealth, but cannot govern appetite. They want marriage, but cannot govern imagination. They want leadership, but cannot govern insecurity. And God says, if I give you more territory before you govern your mind, the territory will expose your disorder. Your mind is not just a place where thoughts pass through. Please hear me. Your mind is the command center of your life. It is where decisions are processed. It is where emotions are interpreted. It is where appetites are justified. It is where imagination either serves destiny or manufactures fear. It is where memory either becomes wisdom or becomes bondage. It is where offense becomes a philosophy. It is where pain becomes a personality. It is where excuses become laws. That is why Romans chapter 12 says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation does not begin with relocation. Transformation does not begin with a new income. Transformation does not begin with a new relationship. Transformation begins when the thinking system is renewed. The word transform means changed in form, change in expression, change from the inside until the outside must obey. God does not begin by repainting your circumstances. He begins by renewing the government that interprets your circumstances. You can move to a new city with an old mind and reproduce the same bondage. You can receive more money with an old mind and finance the same dysfunction. You can enter a new relationship with an old mind and punish a new person for old wounds. You can get a new opportunity with an old mind and sabotage it with the same hidden laws that destroyed the last one. So God says, I am not only changing what is around you, I am changing what is ruling you. There is natural sight, and then there is heart vision. Natural sight shows you what is present. Heart vision shows you what is possible in God. Natural sight says, this is my condition. Heart vision says, this is not my conclusion. Natural sight sees the debt, the weakness, the history, the diagnosis, the empty chair, the broken pattern. Heart vision sees the intended outcome God placed inside you before the condition appeared outside you. That is why vision is so powerful. Vision does not deny facts. Vision submits facts to truth. Facts may say you failed. Truth says you can be restored. Facts may say you are behind. Truth says obedience can redeem time. Facts may say the family pattern is strong. Truth says a renewed mind can break the pattern and establish a new law. Do not confuse what you see with what God showed you. Your eyes report conditions. Your spirit receives assignment. Many people are praying for a new life while protecting the old mental system that destroyed the previous one. They say, Lord, change my life. But they defend the thoughts that keep creating the life they hate. They ask God to open doors, but they refuse to challenge the fear that makes them run from every door. They ask God for peace, but they continue rehearsing offense. They ask God for discipline, but they keep negotiating with every appetite that visits their body. You cannot pray for harvest and protect weeds. You cannot ask for a future and preserve the thinking that is hostile to that future. At some point, prayer must become obedience. At some point, confession must become correction. At some point, you must stop asking God to bless what He is trying to deliver you from. These 30 days are a return to mental dominion. This is not about controlling everything outside you. You cannot control every person. You cannot control every economy. You cannot control every memory. You cannot control every storm. But you can refuse to be mastered by everything inside you. You can refuse to let fear become your counselor. You can refuse to let lust become your master. You can refuse to let anger become your language. You can refuse to let insecurity become your identity. Say this quietly. My mind is my first territory. If you cannot govern a thought, you will eventually obey it. If you cannot arrest an imagination, you will eventually build a life around it. If you cannot correct an internal lie, you will eventually call bondage normal. But when your mind comes under truth, your life begins to come under order. The first dominion God expects from you is dominion over your own thoughts. That is where rebuilding begins. Now, listen carefully, because this is the law of the mind. A mind without vision will always negotiate with distraction. It will negotiate with appetite. It will negotiate with offense. It will negotiate with lust. It will negotiate with laziness. It will negotiate with every invitation that has no relationship to assignment, because there is no internal picture strong enough to say no. Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people perish. But that word perish does not only mean to die physically. It carries the idea of casting off restraint, throwing off discipline, becoming uncovered, becoming loose. In other words, where there is no clear revelation of purpose, people stop governing themselves. They abandon standards. They live by impulse. They become available to anything because they are not committed to something. Please write this down. Vision is the source of restraint. You do not become disciplined because you hate pleasure. You become disciplined because you have seen something greater than pleasure. You do not say no because you are trying to be religious. You say no because your yes has become too expensive. When a man has no vision, every appetite becomes an option. But when a man has vision, his future begins to police his present. Vision is not fantasy. Fantasy is imagination without responsibility. Fantasy makes you feel important while requiring nothing from you. Vision is different. Vision is a preview of purpose. Vision is when God allows you to see a glimpse of why you were born, and that glimpse becomes a law inside your mind. It gives your mind permission to reject what your emotions desire. It gives your mouth permission to stop talking foolishly. It gives your schedule permission to become selective. It gives your money permission to have an assignment. This is why vision imprisons you. Now that sounds strange. Vision imprisons you. But it does not imprison you to destroy your freedom. It imprisons you to protect your future from distraction. A person with vision is not free to do everything. They are free to do the right thing. They are not free to waste every hour. They are free to invest time into purpose. They are not free to entertain every conversation. They are free to speak what builds destiny. Freedom without vision becomes bondage, but restraint under vision becomes power. Some of you think your problem is that your mind is empty. No, your mind is not empty. Your mind is overcrowded with ungoverned impressions. It is crowded with images you never judged, words you never examined, offenses you never released, fears you never challenged, desires you never submitted, memories you keep revisiting, and voices you never authorized. That is why you are tired and still unproductive. Your mind is full, but it is not governed. This is mental leakage. You scroll without intention. You react to every emotion. You talk without direction. You spend without discipline. You begin things that have no relationship to destiny. You open doors God never assigned you to enter, then ask God why you are exhausted. You give your attention to everything that knocks, and then wonder why your assignment has no strength. Attention is currency. Whatever you keep paying attention to, you are funding. If you keep funding fear with meditation, fear will grow. If you keep funding offense with rehearsal, offense will grow. If you keep funding lust with imagination, lust will grow. If you keep funding purpose with truth, discipline, study, obedience, and standards, purpose will grow. Say this: my vision will give my mind a law. Say it again. Until your thoughts hear you, my vision will give my mind a law. That means from this day forward, your mind does not get to wander without correction. Your emotions do not get to vote on your future without being judged by truth. Your appetites do not get to make executive decisions in your life. Vision becomes the constitution of your inner government. It tells your thoughts what is legal. It tells your habits what is permitted. It tells your relationships what has access. It tells your calendar what deserves time. And let me tell you something very important. If you do not define your vision, distraction will define your schedule. If you do not define your assignment, appetite will define your behavior. If you do not define your standards, pressure will define your character. Life does not wait for you to become clear. The world will keep offering you options until you lose yourself in choices. That is why some people are busy but not effective. They are active but not aligned. They are moving but not advancing. They are tired but not fruitful. Activity is not evidence of purpose. Movement is not the same as progress. You can run in the wrong direction with great passion and still end up farther from destiny. So the next 30 days cannot begin with doing more. This is where many people miss it. They get excited, buy a planner, make a list, set alarms, and try to change behavior while the mind is still confused. No, the first task is not to do more. The first task is to see clearly enough to stop doing what is violating purpose. Before you add another goal, arrest the distractions. Before you chase another opportunity, define the assignment. Before you make another promise, inspect the thoughts that keep breaking the promises. Because once vision becomes clear, discipline becomes logical. Standards stop feeling like punishment. No becomes a weapon. Focus becomes worship. And your mind begins to come under the government of what God showed you. Now the first 5 days are not for shouting. They are for inspection. Please take notes. Before you rebuild your finances, before you rebuild your relationships, before you rebuild your work ethic, before you rebuild your health, you must find out what has been ruling the command center. Because if the mind is leaking authority, every other area of life will keep losing strength. For 5 days, you are going to conduct a thought audit. That means you are going to write down the thoughts that keep returning. Write down the emotional triggers that keep controlling you. Write down the excuses you keep repeating. Write down the fears you keep rehearsing. Write down the private statements you make when nobody is listening, because your private statements often become your public behavior. You cannot correct what you refuse to confront. Many people call a thought normal because it has been familiar for years. But familiar does not mean lawful. Familiar does not mean healthy. Familiar does not mean true. Some of you have been thinking a lie so long that when truth comes, truth sounds strange. That is how bondage works. Bondage repeats itself until you call it your personality. Write this down. The thought you never challenge becomes the law you unconsciously obey. If you never challenge, I am always behind, you will begin to live behind. If you never challenge, I cannot trust anybody, you will punish good people for wounds they did not create. If you never challenge, I will start later, delay will become your religion. If you never challenge, I am not enough, inferiority will sit on the throne of your decisions and dress itself like humility. Do not spiritualize what you have been refusing to discipline. Some people say, I am just waiting on God, when the truth is, they are afraid to obey. Some say, I am being careful, when the truth is, they are protecting unbelief. Some say, this is just how I am, when the truth is, they have never brought that thought under authority. Prayer is not a substitute for government. God will give you grace, but He will not do your thinking for you. So for days 1 to 5, every morning, sit still before you begin moving. Not scrolling, not rushing, not feeding your mind with everybody else's voice before you have submitted your own mind to truth. Sit still, breathe, and write one honest page. Not a perfect page, an honest page. What am I afraid of? What am I angry about? What excuse do I keep using? What thought keeps returning? What sentence do I keep saying about myself, about people, about God, about my future? Then in the evening, review your day and ask one question. What thought governed me today? Not what happened to me, not who irritated me, not what was unfair. What thought governed me today? Did fear govern me? Did resentment govern me? Did inferiority govern me? Did delay govern me? Because the issue is not only what you experience, the issue is what interpreted the experience. There are 4 categories I want you to watch. Number 1, thoughts of fear. Fear always predicts a future without God. Fear says, if I try, I will fail. If I speak, I will be rejected. If I commit, I will lose control. Fear is a prophet with no covenant. Do not let fear preach to you. Number 2, thoughts of resentment. Resentment keeps yesterday alive so it can control today. It says, because they hurt me, I will not open my heart. Because they ignored me, I will not serve. Because they betrayed me, I will stay guarded forever. Resentment makes pain your counselor, and pain is a poor governor. Number 3, thoughts of inferiority. Inferiority does not always sound weak. Sometimes it sounds noble. It says, I do not want to be seen. I do not want to try. I do not belong in that room. But if God gave you an assignment, hiding is not humility. Humility is agreement with truth, not agreement with fear. Number 4, thoughts of delay. Delay is one of the most dangerous thoughts because it sounds reasonable. Tomorrow, next month, when things calm down, when I feel ready. But readiness is often born after obedience, not before it. Delay is disobedience wearing the clothes of timing. And let me tell you what an excuse is. An excuse is often a thought that has been promoted into a philosophy. You repeated it long enough until it became an explanation for your lack of movement. I am too busy. I am too tired. I did not have support. I was not taught. These may explain pain, but they must not govern destiny. During these 5 days, you are not condemning yourself. You are arresting illegal thoughts. 2 Corinthians says, we cast down imaginations and bring every thought into captivity. That means thoughts can be detained. Thoughts can be questioned. Thoughts can be denied access. Your mind is not a public road where anything can pass through and build a house. Say this, I will inspect what has been directing me. Before your life can be rebuilt, your mind must stop leaking authority. A leaky mind cannot hold a standard. A leaky mind cannot protect a relationship. A leaky mind cannot manage money. A leaky mind cannot sustain health. A leaky mind cannot finish an assignment. So for 5 days, do not try to impress anybody. Sit with truth. Write the thoughts. Name the fears. Expose the excuses. Identify the voice. Because once a thought is exposed, it can be judged. And once it is judged by truth, it no longer has the right to rule in silence. Now, after you have exposed the thoughts, you must replace them. Please hear this carefully. The mind cannot be disciplined by emptiness. You cannot cast out a lie and then leave the house vacant. You cannot remove fear and then give the mind nothing to obey. You cannot identify resentment and then leave the heart without truth. Emptiness is an invitation for the old government to return. A disciplined mind is not a silent mind. Write that down. A disciplined mind is not a silent mind. It is a mind submitted to truth. Some people think peace means there are no thoughts moving. No. Peace means the right thought has authority. Peace means truth is louder than fear. Peace means purpose is stronger than appetite. Peace means the mind has been trained to receive instruction from God and not merely reaction from circumstances. Renewal is not positive thinking. Positive thinking says, I feel good about myself. Renewal says, I agree with what God has spoken, even when my feelings are arguing. Positive thinking tries to decorate the old government. Renewal replaces it. Positive thinking may improve your mood for a moment, but renewal changes the law by which you live. Romans said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, not by the excitement of your emotions. Renewal means the old internal constitution is being removed and a new law is being written. This is why days 6 to 10 are very important. You are moving from exposure to instruction. The first 5 days showed you what had been speaking. Now the next 5 days will establish what has the right to speak. You are not just saying, I will not be afraid. You are saying, God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. That is 2 Timothy 1:7. You are not just saying, I will stop thinking negative thoughts. You are saying, whatever is true, honest, just, pure, lovely, and of good report, this is where my mind is permitted to dwell. That is Philippians 4:8. Notice, Paul does not say, think on anything that visits you. He says, think on these things. That means thinking can be commanded. Thinking can be selected. Thinking can be trained. Your mind is not supposed to be a victim of every impression. Your mind must learn to think on command, not simply react on impulse. Some of you have trained your mind to panic on command. One bill arrives and the whole mind goes into emergency. One comment is made and insecurity begins preaching. One delay happens and anger takes the microphone. One temptation appears and appetite starts negotiating. You have practiced reaction so long that reaction feels natural. But natural does not mean lawful. Natural does not mean godly. Natural does not mean final. For days 6 to 10, I want you to choose 3 governing truths, not 20, 3. If you choose too many, you will admire them but not obey them. Write down 3 truths that will govern your mind for the rest of these 30 days. Put them where your eyes can meet them before the world meets your attention. Put them near your bed. Put them on your mirror. Put them in your phone. Speak them every morning before you answer messages, before you consume news, before you scroll through other people's confusion. Here are examples. I was created for purpose. Say that until aimlessness loses its authority. My appetite is not my master. Say that until your body understands it is a servant, not a king. My future deserves my focus. Say that until distraction becomes embarrassed to knock. I will not live beneath the standard of my assignment. Say that until your habits begin to rise to the level of your calling. But do not merely recite them. Measure decisions against them. When you are about to waste an hour, ask, does my future deserve this? When appetite demands obedience, ask, who is master here? When inferiority tells you to hide, ask, was I created for purpose or created for fear? When compromise offers comfort, ask, is this beneath the standard of my assignment? This is how truth becomes government. Truth must move from information to law. Many people know truth, but truth does not govern them. They can quote scripture and still obey fear. They can sing about victory and still submit to appetite. They can say amen in public and negotiate with bondage in private. The issue is not whether truth is available. The issue is whether truth has authority. Say this, truth will govern my mind. Say it again, truth will govern my mind. Now listen to me. A thought becomes powerful when you give it rehearsal. If you rehearse fear, fear becomes fluent. If you rehearse resentment, resentment becomes articulate. If you rehearse truth, truth becomes your language. So every morning, speak your 3 governing truths slowly. Do not rush. You are not trying to impress heaven with volume. You are training your inner world to recognize authority. Then during the day, when an old thought rises, do not just fight it with emotion. Answer it with law. Fear says, you cannot do this. Truth says, God gave me a sound mind. Appetite says, you need this now. Truth says, my body is under purpose. Delay says, later. Truth says, obedience begins today. Inferiority says, stay small. Truth says, I was created with assignment. And let me say this before we move forward. Every renewed thought must eventually become a scheduled behavior. If you say, my future deserves my focus, then your calendar must prove it. If you say, my appetite is not my master, then your habits must show restraint. If you say, I will not live beneath my assignment, then your daily standard must change. Truth that never touches your schedule has not yet become government. So days 6 to 10 are not for noise. They are for law. Choose the truths. Write them. Speak them. Judge decisions by them. Train the mind to think under command. Because once truth governs the mind, behavior has a foundation. And when behavior has a foundation, your life can begin to build without collapsing every time your feelings change. Now, after truth has become law, law must receive a schedule. Please write that down. Discipline becomes real when truth receives a schedule. If purpose is not on the calendar, appetite will take the appointment. If vision is not assigned an hour, distraction will rent the whole day. If prayer has no place, anxiety will find one. If focused work has no place, busyness will pretend to be productivity. This is where many people fail. They agree with truth emotionally, but they never give truth a system. They say, I was created for purpose, but wake up with no order. They say, my future deserves my focus, but give the first hour of the day to everybody else's noise. They say, my appetite is not my master, but build no standard to govern the body. So the confession is right, but the structure is weak. And a weak structure cannot carry a strong destiny. From days 11 to 15, you are going to build a daily standard, not a dream, not a mood, not an intention, a standard. A standard is a self-imposed law that tells your day what is permitted. It is not religious performance. It is not self-punishment. It is not you trying to prove to God that you are serious. God already knows your heart. The issue is whether your life has enough government to protect what He placed inside you. Your daily standard begins with a wake time. Choose the hour. Stop negotiating with the bed every morning like your pillow has revelation. Your day must begin under command, not under accident. Then establish prayer or stillness before noise. Sit before God before you sit, before screens. Let your spirit receive instruction before your mind receives interruption. Then read something that strengthens purpose. Scripture, wisdom, skill, biography, instruction. Feed the mind. What belongs to the future you are building? Then establish one focused work block. Not 10 scattered attempts. One protected block where you give your assignment undivided attention. Turn off the unnecessary alerts. Close the doors you can close. Tell your emotions, we are working now. This is where mastery is born. Mastery is not born from excitement. Mastery is born from repeated obedience under a standard. Then steward your body. Your body is not your God, but it is the vehicle of your assignment. Move it. Feed it with intelligence. Rest it with order. Do not ask your body to carry destiny while you treat it like it has no purpose. Paul said, I discipline my body and bring it into subjection. That means even the body must learn that it is not the master of the man. It is the servant of purpose. Then reduce distraction. I did not say eliminate every sound in the world. I said reduce what you have been authorizing. Some distractions are not attacks. They are appointments you keep making. You invited them. You downloaded them. You subscribed to them. You gave them a chair in your mind. And now you are asking God for focus while feeding the very thing that fractures your attention. And every evening, review the day. Ask, did I live under the standard today? Not, did I feel wonderful? Not, was everything easy? Did I obey the standard? Did I wake under command? Did I pray or sit still? Did I read? Did I work with focus? Did I steward my body? Did I reduce distraction? Did I judge the day before sleeping? Because an unreviewed day becomes an unrepaired pattern. Now let me speak to your feelings. Feelings are real, but they are not rulers. Feelings are signals, not sovereigns. You may feel tired and still obey. You may feel afraid and still move. You may feel lonely and still remain pure. You may feel discouraged and still complete the assignment for the day. If you let feelings govern standards, your life will change every time your mood changes. Write this down and do not forget it. Do not consult your mood about your mandate. Your mood was not there when God designed your purpose. Your mood did not create you. Your mood did not call you. Your mood did not redeem you. Your mood has information, but it does not have authority. Respect it as a signal. Examine it. Learn from it. But do not bow to it. Your future changes when your standards become stronger than your feelings. That is why discipline is powerful. Discipline says, I feel weak, but the standard still stands. Discipline says, I feel tempted, but the law still stands. Discipline says, I feel unseen, but the assignment still stands. This is maturity. Maturity is when your obedience no longer needs emotional permission. Now, during these 5 days, I want you to narrow your life practically. Remove one unnecessary commitment. Not everything good is assigned. Some of you are exhausted because you keep saying yes to things that make you feel needed but keep you from being effective. Remove one recurring distraction. One app, one habit, one conversation pattern, one nightly waste of time, and remove one environment that feeds the old mind. If a place keeps awakening the old appetite, stop calling it harmless. It is training you backward. These 5 days will reveal whether you want change as a wish or change as a government. A wish says, I hope things get better. Government says, this is the law of my day. A wish waits for inspiration. Government builds a standard. A wish complains about patterns. Government interrupts them. A wish wants the reward of change without the rule of change. So build the standard. Wake under command. Pray before noise. Read for renewal. Work with focus. Steward the body. Reduce distraction. Review the day. And when your feelings rise up to vote, thank them for reporting, then obey purpose anyway. Because your destiny is too valuable to be governed by a mood. Now, once your standard is standing, you must simplify your life around what you were born to master. Please write this down. Discipline is not just the ability to do hard things. Discipline is the ability to submit your energy to the right thing. God did not create you to be busy with everything. Busyness is not dominion. Activity is not mastery. Noise is not fruitfulness. In Genesis, when God gave man dominion, He was not giving man permission to be scattered. Dominion means to govern, to rule, to master. That means there is something in your life you were born to bring under wise stewardship until it becomes fruitful, valuable, and excellent. You were not born to master everything. You were born to master something. And when you discover that something, your life begins to become focused. This is why vision makes life simple. Say that with me. Vision makes life simple. Simplicity does not mean you have no options. Simplicity means you know your priority. Simplicity is not poverty of opportunity. Simplicity is clarity of assignment. Some of you are exhausted because you are trying to prove you can do everything. You are saying yes to everything, attending everything, chasing everything, learning everything, beginning everything, and finishing nothing. That is not greatness. That is dispersion. And anything dispersed loses power. Light spread everywhere brightens a room, but light focus becomes fire. Now hear me carefully. There is a difference between a good thing and a right thing. A good thing may impress people. A right thing serves purpose. A good thing may make you look responsible. A right thing makes you fruitful. A good thing may get applause. A right thing gets alignment. And one of the signs that vision is beginning to govern your mind is that you stop being seduced by every good thing. Not every invitation is an assignment. Not every open door is your door. Not every opportunity deserves your oil. Some doors open to drain you. Some relationships flatter you, but fracture your focus. Some projects make you feel important, but steal the strength needed for your real work. You must learn to ask, does this serve my assignment? For days 16 to 20, I want you to identify one area of mastery. One. Not 5, not 12, 1. It may be a skill that must be developed. It may be a responsibility you've neglected. It may be a relationship pattern that must be corrected. It may be a leadership habit that must be strengthened. It may be a spiritual discipline that must become consistent. But choose one area that directly supports the life God is rebuilding in you. If your assignment requires communication, then strengthen communication. If your assignment requires leadership, strengthen decision making. If your assignment requires healing in relationships, strengthen forgiveness, listening, and honesty. If your assignment requires stewardship, strengthen order, budgeting, and follow through. If your assignment requires spiritual authority, strengthen prayer, fasting, scripture, and obedience. Do not admire the future while neglecting the capacity required to carry it. Every day during these 5 days, spend at least one focus block strengthening that area. Not while answering messages, not while checking every alert, not while half listening and half working. One focus block. 30 minutes if that is where you must begin. 60 minutes if you can protect it. But let that block become a seed of mastery. Mastery is built in blocks. A block of study, a block of practice, a block of prayer, a block of correction, a block of service, a block of preparation, a block of focused work. If you give your assignment scattered minutes, do not expect concentrated fruit. Your future is asking for focus, not leftovers. And please, do not confuse variety with growth. An undisciplined mind calls confusion opportunity. It says, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should try that. Maybe I should start another thing. No, sit down. Govern yourself. Ask the hard question. What is the one thing I must strengthen now that will make obedience easier and purpose clearer? Some of you are one disciplined focus away from becoming valuable. Do not seek fame. Seek value. Do not seek applause. Seek mastery. Do not seek to be known for everything. Become dependable in what you were assigned to carry. When you become valuable, influence will follow. When you master what serves purpose, doors begin to recognize you. So simplify. Remove what does not serve. Reduce what competes. Protect the focus block. Strengthen the one area. Stop scattering your life to satisfy the insecurity that wants to look busy. You rebuild your life by narrowing your focus to what serves your assignment. Say this. I will master what serves my purpose. Say it again. I will master what serves my purpose. Now, prepare yourself, because once you make a true decision, resistance will come. Mastery will be tested. Focus will be tested. Standards will be tested. Every true decision creates resistance because obedience must be proven under pressure. Now, when you enter days 21 to 25, do not be surprised when the old life knocks on the door. Please write this down. The first resistance after a decision is usually a request from your past to be reinstated. All friends will call with old invitations. All cravings will rise with old arguments. All fears will return with old predictions. All schedules will try to reclaim the hours you just dedicated to purpose. This is not strange. This is government being challenged. Whenever a new law is established, the old law will test whether it has truly been removed. The old mind does not leave because you made a declaration. It leaves because you enforced the declaration under pressure. Many people shout in the meeting but surrender in the moment. They declare freedom publicly but negotiate privately. That is why these 5 days are important. Days 21 to 25 are not merely about discipline. They are about proof. A disciplined mind proves itself when obedience survives pressure. Write that down. Not when the room is quiet. Not when everybody supports you. Not when your body feels strong. Not when your schedule is convenient. Obedience must survive pressure because pressure reveals loyalty. Pressure reveals what you really believe. Pressure reveals whether purpose has become law or only excitement. Do not misinterpret the test. The test does not mean the vision is false. The test means the vision is being authenticated. If everything in your old life celebrates your new decision, maybe your decision has not threatened anything yet. But when appetite gets uncomfortable, when distraction gets loud, when people who benefited from your disorder begin to question your order, when the old fear says you cannot keep this up, do not panic. That pressure is announcing that the old government is losing unquestioned access. Joseph had a vision. But before the palace there was a pit. Before the throne there was a prison. Before position there was process. Job had integrity, but integrity was proven through loss before restoration was revealed. Peter had a calling, but Jesus said Satan has desired to sift you. And after the sifting, Peter would strengthen his brethren. Even Jesus endured the cross before resurrection authority was manifested. So do not tell me you have purpose and expect no process. Vision that cannot survive inconvenience is not governing you yet. Many people quit in this season not because the system failed, but because the system exposed the cost of becoming new. They say this is not working. No, it is working. It is showing you what still owns you. It is showing you where convenience is still stronger than covenant. It is showing you where appetite still has a key. It is showing you where fear still has a microphone. Exposure is not failure. Exposure is mercy. Because what is exposed can be governed. So here's the practice. When resistance appears, do not merely feel it, write it, name it, judge it. If an old friend calls you back into an old environment, write the test. The test is companionship without direction. Then name the old pattern. This is trying to revive my need for acceptance. Then answer it with the predetermined standard. I do not enter environments that weaken my purpose. If an old craving rises at night, write the test. The test is comfort without discipline. Name the old pattern. This is trying to revive escape. Answer it with the standard. My appetite is not my master. If an old fear returns before you take action, write the test. The test is obedience under uncertainty. Name the old pattern. This is trying to revive delay. Answer it with the standard. Obedience begins today. Do not wait until temptation arrives to decide what you believe. A standard must be predetermined. If you decide in the moment will lobby against you. Feelings are excellent lawyers. They will present evidence. They will bring memories. They will call witnesses from your pain. They will argue that you deserve one exception. But purpose must be the judge. Truth must strike the gavel and say, this case is closed. Tell yourself, I will not return to what God is delivering me from. Say it again. I will not return to what God is delivering me from. You are not being deprived. You are being delivered. You are not losing your life. You are losing the disorder that kept stealing your life. You are not becoming narrow because you are weak. You are becoming focused because you are assigned. Vision will always look restrictive to people who worship options, but restraint is the birthplace of power. So when days 21 to 25 become uncomfortable, stand still. Do not dramatize the pressure. Do not announce every struggle. Do not make a monument out of a mood. Write the test. Name the pattern. Answer with the standard. Then obey the next right instruction. The pressure means something is changing. The craving is loud because it is no longer enthroned. The fear is loud because it is losing authority. The old schedule is loud because it cannot assume access anymore. Hold your ground. Pass the test after the decision, because the life you are rebuilding must be strong enough to survive the resistance that comes against it. Now, when you enter days 26 to 30, you must understand the purpose of the whole journey. The goal was never to survive a program. The goal was to become a person who can be trusted with vision. 30 days does not finish the rebuilding. 30 days proves you can live under a new government. Write this down. Repetition creates evidence. Evidence creates confidence. Confidence creates identity. Identity creates destiny. When you wake under command for 30 days, you are not merely building a habit, you are collecting evidence. When you refuse the old appetite, you are collecting evidence. When you replace fear with truth, you are collecting evidence. When you protect focus, you are collecting evidence. And after enough evidence, the soul begins to say, maybe this is who I am now. That is powerful. Because identity is stronger than effort. Effort says, I am trying to be disciplined. Identity says, I am disciplined. Effort says, I am trying to think differently. Identity says, I have the mind of purpose. Effort says, I am trying to escape my past. Identity says, my past is no longer my government. So in these final 5 days, do not rush to celebrate. Review. Sit down with the month and judge it with truth. Ask yourself, what thoughts lost power? Maybe fear still visits, but it no longer rules. Maybe resentment still knocks, but it no longer gets a room. Maybe delay still speaks, but it no longer controls the calendar. That is evidence. Ask, what standards became easier? Maybe waking up was warfare on day 1, but by day 28, your body began to adjust. Maybe prayer felt awkward in the beginning, but now silence feels necessary. Maybe focus work was difficult, but now distraction feels like an intruder. That is evidence. Ask, what distractions were removed? What app lost authority? What conversation lost access? What environment no longer feels innocent? What habit did you stop calling harmless because you finally saw what it was costing you? That is evidence. Ask, what truth became believable? Not merely repeatable, believable. There is a difference. In the beginning, you may have said, I was created for a purpose while feeling broken. But after obedience, something inside you began to agree. Truth moved from your mouth into your bones. That is renewal. Then ask the dangerous question, what responsibility can I no longer avoid? Because discipline always brings responsibility. God does not renew your mind so you can admire yourself in private. He renews your mind so you can fulfill assignment. If your mind is clearer, then your obedience must be clearer. If your standards are stronger, then your service must become stronger. If your focus has returned, then your purpose must now receive action. Now I want to give you the next instruction. Do not stop at 30 days. Extend the government for 90 days. Choose one mastered standard that you will continue. One, it may be your morning order. It may be your focus work block. It may be your evening review. Keep it until it becomes part of your nature. Choose one area of purpose that you will strengthen for 90 days. Study it, practice it, serve through it, build capacity in it. Do not scatter again. And choose one relationship or environment that must now align with the renewed mind. Some people can love you and still not be assigned to your next season. Some places can be familiar and still be dangerous to your focus. Alignment is not arrogance. Alignment is stewardship. So here is the system. Expose the thought. Replace it with truth. Schedule the standard. Narrow the focus. Endure the test. Embody the identity. Say it again. Expose, replace, schedule, narrow, endure, embody. This is how a broken life is rebuilt. Not by emotion only. Not by wishing. Not by waiting for perfect conditions. A rebuilt life comes under law, under truth, under purpose, under vision. Do not let day 31 become a funeral for day 30. Do not bury what obedience produces. Let day 31 become the first day of a governed life. When the challenge ends, the identity must remain. When no one is checking, purpose must still govern. When the emotion fades, the standard must still stand. You are not the person who started this month. You have evidence now. You have seen thoughts lose authority. You have seen appetite denied. You have seen focus return. You have seen truth become believable. Now hold your ground. Live like someone who has been entrusted with vision. If this is your decision, comment these words. I choose the mind of purpose, or write the specific truth you are choosing to believe and live out according to God's original design. Share this teaching with someone who is rebuilding their life. Unsubscribe if you are committed to becoming an agent of change. Because the world does not need more gifted people without government. The world needs disciplined minds, submitted to truth, carrying purpose with power.